Good morning, students. Welcome back to the biology class, chapter 13, Organisms and Populations, part 2. Today's class, we are going to discuss about the responses to the abiotic factors. What are the abiotic factors? Temperature, water, light and soil. Organisms maintain a constant internal environment that is called homeostasis despite varying external environmental conditions. This is possible by following process. First one, regulate. Second, conform. Third point, migrate. Fourth point, suspend. We will discuss about the first point, regulate. Some organisms are able to maintain homeostasis by physiological, sometimes behavioral also means, which ensures constant body temperature, constant osmotic concentration also. All birds and mammals and a very few lower vertebrate and invertebrate species are indeed capable of such regulation, that is called thermoregulation and osmoregulation. Evolutionary biologists believe that the success of mammals is largely due to their ability to maintain a constant body temperature and thrive whether they live in Antarctica or in the Sahara Desert. The mechanisms used by most mammals to regulate their body temperature are similar to the ones that we humans use. We maintain a constant body temperature of 37 degrees centigrade. In summer, when outside temperature is more than our body temperature, we sweat profusely. The resulting evaporative cooling, similar to what happens with a desert cooler in operation, brings down the body temperature. In winter, when the temperature is much lower than 37 degrees centigrade, we start to shiver, a kind of exercise which produces heat and raises the body temperature. Plants, on the other hand, do not have such mechanisms to maintain internal temperatures. Second point, conform. An overwhelming majority, 99% of animals and nearly all plants cannot maintain a constant internal environment. Their body temperature changes with the present temperature. In aquatic animals, the osmotic concentration of the body fluids change with that of the ambient water's osmotic concentration. These animals and plants are simply conformers. Okay? Thermoregulation is energetically expensive for many organisms. This is particularly true for small animals like shrews and hummingbirds. Heat loss or heat gain is a function of surface area. Since small animals have a larger surface area relative to their volume, they tend to lose body heat very fast when it is cold outside. Then they have to expend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. This is the main reason why very small animals are rarely found in polar regions. During the course of evolution, the cost and benefits of maintaining a constant internal environment are taken into consideration. Some species have evolved the ability to regulate, but only over a limited range of environmental conditions beyond which they simply conform. Next point, migrate. The organism can move away temporarily from the stressful habitat to a more hospitable area and return when stressful period is over. In human analogy, this strategy is like a person moving from Delhi to Shimla for the duration of summer. Many animals, particularly birds, during winter undertake long distance migration to more hospitable areas. Every winter, the famous Keolado National Park, Bharatpur in Rajasthan, hosts thousands of migratory birds coming from Siberia and other extremely cold northern regions. Next point, suspend. In bacteria, fungi and lower plants, various kinds of thick-walled spores are formed which help them to survive unfavourable conditions. These germinate on availability of suitable environment. In higher plants, seeds and some other vegetative reproductive structures serve as means to tide over periods of stress besides helping in dispersal. They germinate to form new plants under favourable moisture and temperature conditions. They do so by reducing their metabolic activity and going into a state of dormancy. In animals, the organism, if unable to migrate, might avoid the stress by escaping in time. The familiar case of bears going into hibernation during winter is an example of escape in time. Some snails and fish go into estivation to avoid summer-related problems, heat and desiccation. Under unfavourable conditions, many zooplankton species in lakes and ponds are known to enter diapause, a stage of suspended development. Next important portion, that are the adaptations. While considering the various alternatives unavailable to organisms for coping with the extremes in their environment, we have seen that some are able to respond through certain physiological adjustment, while others have the behavioral, migrating or the stressful habitat. These responses are also actually their adaptation. So we can say that adaptation is any attribute of the organism like morphological, physiological, behavioral that enables the organisms to survive and reproduce in its habitat. Many adaptations have evolved over a long evolutionary time and are genetically fixed. In the absence of an external source of water, the kangaroo rat in North America deserts is capable of meeting all its water requirements through its internal fat oxidation, in which water is a byproduct. It also has the ability to concentrate its urine so that minimal volume of water is used to remove excretory products. Many desert plants have a thick cuticle on their leaf surfaces and have their stomata arranged in deep pits to minimize water loss through transpiration. They also have a special photosynthetic pathway that is called CAM, crustacean acid metabolism, that enables their stomata to remain closed during daytime. Some desert plants like Opentia have no leaves. They are reduced to spines and the photosynthetic function is taken over by the flattened stems. Mammals from colder climates generally have shorter ears and limbs to minimize heat loss. This is called the Allen's rule. In the polar seas, aquatic mammals like seals have a thick layer of fat blubber below their skin that acts as an insulator and reduces loss of body heat. Some organisms possess adaptations that are physiological, which allow them to respond quickly to a stressful situation. If you had ever been to any high altitude place, that is in very high, example in the Manali and Manasarovar in China or Tibet, you must have experienced what is called altitude sickness. Its symptoms include nausea, fatigue and heart palpitations. This is because in the low atmospheric pressure of high altitudes, the body does not get enough oxygen, but gradually you get accomplished and stop experiencing altitude sickness. How did your body solve this problem? The body compensates low oxygen availability by increasing red blood cell production, decreasing the binding affinity of hemoglobin, and by increasing breathing rate. Okay, many tribes live in the high altitude of Himalayas are facing their problem. They have higher red blood cells count, total hemoglobin, than people living in the plains. In most animals, the metabolic reactions and hence all the physiological functions proceed optimally in a narrow temperature range. In humans, it is 37 degrees centigrade. But there are microbes like archaebacteria that flourish in hot springs and deep sea hydrothermal vents where the temperature far exceeds 100 degrees centigrade. Many fish thrive in Antarctic waters where the temperature is always below zero. How they are managing with like this? A large variety of marine invertebrates and fish live in a great depths in the ocean where the pressure could be below 100 times or the above 100 times the normal atmospheric pressure that we experience. There it is, organisms living in such extreme environments show a fascinating array of biochemical adaptations. Some organisms show behavioral responses to cope up with the variations in their environment. Example, desert lizards lack the physiological ability that mammals have to deal with the high temperature of their habitat, but manage to keep their body temperature fairly constant by behavioral means. They bask in the sun and absorb heat when their body temperature drops below the comfort zone, but move into shade when the ambient temperature starts increasing. Some species are capable of burrowing into the soil to hide and escape from the above ground heat. Thank you.